Devonta Smith, 4 targets, 0 receptions in week 1. This is happening as A.J. Brown makes an outstanding debut for the Birds. Brown set a franchise record for receiving yards in a debut. He was targeted 13 times, got 10 balls for 155 yards. Again, 155 yards to 0 yards, 10 catches to 0 catches. Devonta Smith to A.J. Brown. Are you worried at all about Devonta, the sophomore wide receiver, former Heisman Trophy winner out of Alabama?
I'm not. I think Devonta Smith could be a solid flex option in a lot of fantasy football leagues. As especially very well, I have Devonta Smith in our little league and I have him starting in the flex because I could have actually started Joshua Palmer, who played last night.
Keep doing that. Keep doing that for me, man. Keep starting Devonta.
But I fully trust. We heard Nick Sirianni say that Devonta Smith is still a very good wide receiver. He's still going to be used a lot. They don't want to be too one-dimensional.
Let's break down those comments real quick. So Nick Sirianni, after the win on Sunday, had this to say about Devonta Smith's performance. Oh my goodness, they are never going to use Devonta Smith again. That is what Nick Sirianni said in terms of how Eagles fans may be reacting to the 0 catch performance. He added quickly, I can promise you that is not the case. Nick Sirianni goes on to say, for whatever reason, it seemed to time up perfectly. AJ had this huge game and Devonta didn't touch the ball at all. We have to involve him because you never want to be one-dimensional and let them say, hey, we are going to take this away or take that away. Devonta Smith is not a good playmaker. He's a great playmaker. I think everybody in the city saw this last year. And he talks about last year for Devonta. It was a solid rookie debut. It wasn't fantastic when you consider other wide receivers, rookie wide receivers last year. You talked about Jamar Chase, not comparable the same amount of year. He did have his occasional pop weeks, which I think my big takeaway from week 1 is that Devonta Smith is going to have these performances where he just disappears on you. I think by the end of the year, we're going to be looking at an 800 to 900 yard wide receiver, but output is going to be varying week to week. If you can have a game in which he absolutely disappears like this, I don't think this is the last time we see a goose egg or a single point performance from Devonta Smith this year. I think that that's going to be something that's relatively normal. But what you hope for is that you occasionally get a 20-point week or a 30-point week. One of those just happens in there. I think that that's how Devonta is going to be used this year. Do you agree, or where do you think about him? Do you think he's an every week starter as opposed to me?
Well, that's why I said I mostly would start him in the flex. I don't see him as a week-to-week starter, but I think you can pop him in and out of the flex spot. Like you said, he's going to have those weeks where he's going to be non-existent or he's going to pop off for 20, 30 points and he has a big week. There's going to be some of those games where AJ Brown could be covered tremendously by a good solid, corner, or, might be doubled up with a corner and a safety. And, Devonta might have a little bit more freedom. And those might be the games where you see Devonta pop off a little bit. I trust Nick Sirianni and what he says. I think they're going to involve him more because who knows? Those 4 targets could have been, Jalen Hurts was scrambling and he just needed to get the ball out and he just threw it towards Devonta Smith's way and just out of bounds or something. So
here's the bad news. Last year, his rookie year, he didn't really have many performances to write home about. He didn't go over 20 points once last year as a rookie. You can say rookie year jitters or whatever that may be, but now he has a bigger dog in the house than AJ Brown. And I do think that Nick Sirianni is going to be using him a lot more because you'd be a fool to not use Devonta Smith, but you would expect that he's going to be less consistent now. AJ Brown, if he's taking up double-digit targets, double-digit receptions, I look at Devonta Smith as, again, you're just talking about an upside flex at best. You're talking about a guy that's maybe a wide receiver 4, which is probably not what people want to hear from a guy like Devonta Smith who has such a high draft pedigree. AJ Brown has just done it in the league a lot longer, or has just done it in the league at a higher rate. And I would expect this to continue because if you're Jalen Hurts and you had a lot of success targeting AJ Brown last week, why would you stop?
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I think that, yes, there are going to be weeks in which a team is going to say, like, okay, let's try and take away AJ Brown. But a lot of teams, ever since AJ Brown debuted, have said, let's take away AJ Brown. AJ Brown refuses to be covered. He's a beast. He deserves all the fame that he gets around the league because he is one of the better wide receivers that came out. Still crazy to me that Ole Miss at one point had him and DK on the same wide receiving room, but that man is a grown-ass man. Devontae's best opportunity is going to be if Devonta Smith misses any time to potentially be the Eagles wide receiver 1. But then you just have to look at that point at the Eagles offense. What is it? I don't think it's going to be a high volume passing offense. And I think that the Eagles operate better when they're not throwing the ball around, because Jalen Hurts is still hit or miss. He's still hard to say what he really is as an NFL quarterback. They're not going to be playing Lions every single week. And Devontae, I guess these are the type of guys I hate to have on my roster because I just never know when to really play them. Devontae, you just got to kind of look at the matchups and see if there's an opportunity there, if there's a burnable secondary. But other than that, I just don't think that he's going to be a guy that you're going to start often or start with confidence. I think that's where the lowering of expectations comes in with Devonta Smith.
Yeah, and I'm there with you a little bit. I trust that Nick Sirianni will get Devonta Smith involved. It's just the fact that is Jalen Hurts going to put out a performance where he's going to get that involvement? Or is Jalen Hurts going to strictly be, Jalen Hurts and have some of his inconsistencies? And it could be effective for both, not just Devonta Smith, but also A.J. Brown a little bit. A lot of this relies on Jalen Hurts as a quarterback. Can he be consistent enough to allow not just Devonta Smith, but, the likes of an A.J. Brown to have good weeks and, perform? Because like you said, he's not going to play the Detroit Lions the entire season. That'd be lovely for a lot of teams if you could play the Detroit Lions every single game of the season.
Here's the good part for Devonta. He actually had a higher snap percentage than A.J. Brown in week 1.
Yeah.
And A.J. has been a guy that has battled through health for a lot of his career. He had somewhat of a reoccurring knee injury last year that kind of made him miss some games with the tight ends. If that comes back or if that rears its ugly head again, that's where Devonta has an opportunity. I think Devonta, for now, is going to be a better NFL player than he's going to be a better fantasy football player. I would say keep him on the bench. Look for matchups that Devonta has an opportunity to. Just lower the expectation of what he is this coming year. That's my realistic projection for what Devonta Smith is going to be for 2022 fantasy football owners. Great dynasty player to stash, though. Buy him in dynasty, I would say. This is a good opportunity there. That's something I might
can agree with that.
Because if he's starting to lower his value, people see A.J. Brown having all the success early on. People are maybe looking to sell off their Devonta Smith stock. I say buy it. Buy it up. Buy the dip. That's my advice for Devonta Smith. Anyway, guys, how are you feeling about this Eagles wide receiving room? Do you think that Sirianni is correct and will give Devonta more work in the games to come? Drop that below in the comments. Comment what you thought of A.J. Brown's debut. Fantastic start for his Eagles tenure. Leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel. Follow us on social media. Stay safe, happy, and healthy. We'll see you next time.